خلينا نقرأنا في وقتنا بشير بنبما ثواب ونوتين وتامين. This is this is lesson 7, but part 6, so the sixth batch of letters that we're gonna learn. This time the letters this one it gets more, I wouldn't say tricky, but more serious, like you'd actually learn some extra rules for each letter, because it has more than one pronunciation. It looks big and intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple for the most part. And actually the last part is not very common, so you don't need to worry about it much. Okay, so let's start. The first letter we have here, as you probably see, it's beta or beta, but most you can actually call it beta. That's the most common name for it. Beta, I think, just because when it's written in Arabic, people start pronouncing it as beta, but it's beta. Okay. So beta, as you might have guessed, is pronounced as a B, just a simple B. However, whenever it's followed by a vowel, it's pronounced as a V. That's the only rule for it. So if you see like, let's say see this beta and then you have an alpha, it will become va. But if you have an alpha and then beta, it's ab, just a B. So it's very similar to let's say when you talk about the G letter. This is ga. Sorry. What am I doing? Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah, whenever you see a vowel that comes afterwards, it just becomes a V. So in most cases, when you see it in any case, so if it just look after, is there a vowel after it? Yes, it's a vowel, so it becomes a V. Otherwise, it's just a B. So if it's in at the end of a sentence, not followed by a vowel, such as let's say I have a T afterwards, it's a B. Except in proper nouns, just like an exceptional case, if proper nouns such as like Barbara, it will be just a B, because a proper noun, you just want to pronounce it the same way. The name is not necessarily for following the rules. So in proper nouns, just assume it's a B, or however you think it's most. So it should be like, it's not Varvara, it will be like Barbara. But in any other words, like when you say evil, that's a B. Okay, but if you say tipped, like ends with a T, that's a B. Okay. Next one is delta. So as you probably know, it's that's the map of Egypt. You have the delta that comes on top, the delta of Egypt, and then that's Nile River. So that is a delta. So that's where the delta comes from. So we have a delta here. So they just flipped it, so you have a delta here, or this, which is like just like the land of the Nile. So you see this, and then even have this. This is like the delta. That's where the letter delta come from. It's mostly pronounced as the. It's like the th, but if you say like in the, that's where it's pronounced like. However, in common names, again, it will be a d. So you say Daniel, but if anything else, will be like Thefte. It's always a dh. So you say diakon, not diakon. It's like diakon, Thefte, whatever. Anything else that has a delta in it, it will be a th as in the, not like th. It'll be like a th as in the. In most proper nouns, in all proper nouns, it'll be d. So you have Daniel, delta, because delta is the name of the area. It's like a lol, except it's like connected underneath, just to make a triangle. You probably learned this in math, like delta v, delta x, things like that. So where delta comes from. The last one we have, so those two should be quite simple. I wouldn't say simple, they're just like the most common way, the most common pronunciation for delta is a da. So whenever you see it, if you say da, you're most likely correct, unless it's a name. And then it will make sense to you. It's like, oh, it's Dani, not Daniel, but otherwise just keep it da. B, you just need to learn. Once it's a vowel, it's a B, it's a V. If it's not a vowel that comes afterwards, it's a B. That's it. Okay, so the theta that's the theta. You probably have heard about the theta, which is usually the angle. So theta is pronounced as a th. As a th when you have like as in like tha. It's just a th, and when you say like thorns, such as like this th, not the th, like tha. However, the only exception, if it's a bit of a weird exception, it's only pronounced as a T if it's followed by, it's preceded by a she, a shy, or a sima. The reason is, as I've told you earlier, the way the language have evolved, it's not like they have rules and then they try to make the words match it. However, it's how did they pronounce it. So it probably used to be ishthin. Let's say you have a word such as this one. Sorry, my bad handwriting. That's a shy. So that would be ishthin. However, because it was hard, it just became, eventually just evolved in their mouth to be a t instead. So it became ishtin, simply because it's easier to pronounce than an ishthin, or it just eventually the ishthin pronounced evolves to be an ishtin. So that's the only exception. If it's preceded by a shy or a sima, um, it becomes a T. So as if it's pronounced by an S or an SH. Yeah, it just becomes a T because like SH is like, it's a bit hard. So it just becomes an ST. That's it. It's like when you say synthesis. Like sth is a bit hard. So also like this. This is a bit hard. So they just drop the H and it becomes T. Where does the T and T come from? You just have a TH becomes T. And that's actually linguistic, why the TH and T are similar, or I mean, there's just a T with an H that comes afterwards because how close they are in the way that you pronounce them and how interchangeably they have been throughout the ages. So you say Matthew, but then in Greek it's like Matteos. How did it become? Well, simply, it's just the linguistic have evolved. Or just people start pronouncing it that way. So a theta is just simple O with like a dash in the middle. That's it. So that's for the letters. Let's start trying to pronounce some words. So here you have a TH. Nothing becomes before it, and usually don't have to worry about the words that much because there isn't actually that many of it. That comes with like, yeah, it's like an exception rule, like a shy or a semen that comes before it that isn't very common. So SH is the most common one. So here you have a th. I mean th. So you have this. Sorry, where do we pronounce? Oh, this side. Okay, so you have a th, and then you have an a, and then iota. That's actually the feminine of phi. Remember this phi? That's the feminine of phi. It just becomes thigh. The thigh for feminine, and that's how I'd write it. Bad handwriting. Anyway. Okay, next one we have an a. So that's a jinkim. Then you have a sima. So as if it's an s, but then remember, the theta is preceded by a sima, just becomes t, just est, and then o, and then iota. So estoi. Estoi means smell. When you say estoi nufi, the good smell actually means incense. Okay, so estoi. Okay, here you have an a, you have a p, you have a iota, then you have a delta. Delta in most cases just gonna be, let's just actually write it as a dh, that will make more sense. It'll just be easier, because it is actually a delta. And then again a long e, so apz. Okay, next one we have again jinkim, then shy, and then th will be hard afterwards, ishthai, so it just becomes ishtai, ishta, and then a, alpha, then m, so ishtam. Okay, moving on. It's a beta. There's a vowel that comes afterwards, so it becomes v. Then you have an a, and then you have an l. So val. Val means I. Okay, here you have an a, simple a. If you remember, this is like Adam, so it's a name which is Adam, so it becomes A, and then because it's a proper name, this actually should be uppercase. It's a D, and then A, and then M, so Adam. Adam. Not sure why it stopped working. Okay, so the stylus has stopped working, so we're just gonna go with what we have, and gonna make the best out of it. So here the last one is Adam, you have an M. Sorry, I'm gonna go with the mouse, so I'm not gonna write every single word. Simply because stylus stopped working. Okay, next one you have an N, so that's a nay. Then you have a iota, so that's a ni, and then a beta that's followed by a vowel, so it becomes a V, and then an N, so it's nive, niven, or niven. The A doesn't matter if this is long or short. The A just becomes niven or niven. Niven I think means every. Then Adam is Adam. Okay, last one we have here, you have a pay, so that's a P, and then rho, we know all this, and then A, and then sima, so far it's like press, and then again you have V, so you have the beta followed by a vowel, so it becomes iota, so it's followed by a vowel which is iota, so it becomes V, so it's press V, and then you remember iota and alpha is Eya, so presveya, which means what's it called? Intercession. So that is it. Those are more words to learn using what we have. Let's try to read them. So on the first one here you have T, Theo, and then Tokos, Theo, Tokos. Okay, next one, very similar, have T, which means the, and then Para, that's easy, and then Thenos. Again, you see the theta has been used in all cases, no exception, simply because there is nothing, in most cases, it's very early when you see a delta before, when you see like a sigma or a psi before. So just for most cases, 99% of the case it will be just a normal sh, like when you say thorn. So like parthenos, theotokos, nothing too weird. Okay, next one we have here is we know it's means glory, so you know it's not an upper, it's not a proper noun, so become doxa. Doxa is glory. You say doxa patri. Okay, it's a shorthand form. For the long form is ithwab. You see the beta here at the end, it's not followed by anything, so it becomes a B, just a normal B. And then the theta, so that's for the beta, and then for the theta, nothing comes. It's not hard to say ithwab, so it just becomes ithwab. For the next one again we have thigh, as we've mentioned, and thigh means this, but for feminine. So that's for the thigh, also nothing before it, so it becomes a thigh. Here's where actually the thing where the other rule is kicks off. It's estoi nufi, s and then t as a t, and then estoi nufi. If you translate estoi nufi, it's gonna give you a hard time. So because the th and the t are like kind of similar, or like linguistically are very close, so it becomes estoi. It just evolves to become estoi nufi, which means estoi is smell, nufi is good. Good smell simply means incense. And that's it. And here is the homework, just more words to try to pronounce it. And so remember, trying to go word by word, letter by letter. That make your life easier. And then here are some sentences that you're probably familiar with that can help you do more readings.